high motor, violent, and physical. If a defensive player has those traits, there's a chance that head coach Jonathan Gannon, general manager Monty Ossenfort, even defensive coordinator Nick Rallis decide to turn in his card and welcome him into the Valley. But that's a few days away. Let's welcome you into the SeatGeek studio. In the meantime, Zach Gershman, Paul Calvisi, aka Paulie Primer, and Paulie Primer, we're talking about exactly that, defensive and special teams draft primer.
Needs and wants. And this is where you go shopping. This is where you win the offseason. So you know what? We're on the clock right now, Zach. Let's run this war room.
Exactly. And there was a line that was heard all around the football universe just a few weeks ago. It was from Sean Payton, and he said, quote, "It's good to be Monty." You already got the open sign ready to go.
In fact, Monty said it, right? He's open for business at number 4 overall. We'll go one further than that. How about a for sale sign on that number 4 pick? Because if quarterbacks are going 1 through 3, and there are 4 quarterbacks in this draft, somebody's coming up.
I got to give Paul some credit. He's been talking about let there be a 4th QB for as long as draft season has been a thing.
We've been trying to speak it into existence, so if J.J. McCarthy is that guy, I think the Cardinals benefit. It is the pivot point in the draft. If you figure the top 3 teams need quarterback, they're going quarterback, guess what? Cardinals don't need a quarterback. They have Kyler Murray, so another team's need is a Cardinals gain.
That's the exact perk of having a quarterback like Kyler Murray in the facility, because now you get to surround him with a defense to ultimately help both sides of the ball.
There's no doubt. There's several areas where they want to come out of this first round, the first couple of rounds, and check a number of boxes.
And we're going to be able to go through our big board to look at some of our boxes that we might want to check. Paul, let's take a walk over here to the TV monitors. Monty's got his big board, we got our big board, and Paul, I have to ask you, I got a peek into your top 5. Cornerback at number 1, why?
Easy, Zach. Remember, there's one rule here. All opinions your own your opinion. And there's a reason corner is number 1, because there is one proven corner on the roster right now in free agent Sean Murphy-Bunting. Otherwise, you have 3 guys coming off rookie seasons. Now, Garrett Williams slotted in as your nickel corner, we presume, but this is a pretty deep cornerback draft. There's at least a half dozen guys who could go on day 1, and the Cardinals are most definitely in the market, whether it's Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. There are a lot of guys to choose from.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, I have him as the first overall pick in just the name draft, just simply based off the nickname Kool-Aid. But that's kind of the reason why I have cornerback at number 2 for me, because of the fact that you had so many quarterbacks in the facility that were rookies and that played meaningful snaps. You have a guy like Keitrell Clark, Starling Thomas, that were able to truly come in and right away make an impact.
Here's the thing though, before you can rush the passer, because I see you have edge rusher number 1, you got to earn the right by doing what? Stopping the run. You got to get to 3rd and long, and that's why defensive tackle is number 2. Now they went out and they got a couple of free agent studs in the defensive line and Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols, but if you can get an absolute game wrecker like Byron Murphy II, if you can get a guy like Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, that ball of energy, Braden Fisk out of Florida State, that would be a win at defensive tackle.
Braden Fisk was moving at the draft combine. I kind of put number 3 defensive line here. I kind of coupled them all together, defensive tackle, defensive line as a whole, because that unit certainly needed a lot of help last year. Monty Ossenfort reinforced that room tremendously, bringing in a Justin Jones, a Bilal Nichols, some of the other guys that they were able to re-sign, like an LJ Collier, bringing them in. But I got to go back to my number 1, because edge rusher, and I know you have it next on your list at number 3. How can you not have edge rusher at number 1?
Now look, I have edge rusher number 3, and this isn't a great draft for edge rusher. So I think with the Cardinals' first pick in the first round, especially if they trade down to the middle of the first round, it could be a Jared Verse. It could be a guy at that position, because there aren't a lot of edge rushers in this draft, whereas there are tons of offensive tackles and receivers.
Yes. And to go to think about last year where we were, Will Anderson was the guy on everybody's list as being the number 1 edge rusher. There's a lot of different talent, like a Dallas Turner, for example, his Alabama teammate over there. But I think having an edge rusher on the outside truly poses that threat. Think about how many times we spoke to Paris Johnson Jr. and we said, you're going against a Micah Parsons. You're going against a Nick Bosa. Those edge rushers truly do make a difference.
I agree with that. Look, Cardinals defense right now is sort of in the days before Chandler Jones. You need that dynamic edge rusher where your opposing offensive coordinator starts his game plan by saying, we got to account for that guy coming after the quarterback. If the Cardinals could get that guy, it could set up the entire defense.
I know that our 4 and 5 are kind of interchangeable here. You got safety, inside linebacker. Paul, why do you put safety above inside linebacker, knowing you already have a Buda Baker or Jalen Thompson in the facility?
Exactly. That's why safety is under protest. I tried to list corner twice. The powers that be wouldn't let me list corner again. So you know what? I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean right there because he can play corner or safety, one of those interchangeable guys, sort of like a Jalen Thompson. That's what I would go for here at number 4 on defense.
He's a stud out there at Iowa. Had a really solid pro day. And then inside linebacker, you have a Kaiser White. You brought in a Mac Wilson. There's still some guys you brought back, a Chris Barnes. That room, before Kaiser White was injured, that room was unstoppable.
And look, GM's work a year ahead. Kaiser White's going into the final year of his contract. So if they went after an inside linebacker, like, oh, if Edgerrin Cooper out of A&M is there at number 35, for example, I could easily see that. That guy, pound for pound, might be the nastiest dude in this draft.
But outside of maybe Cooper DeJean, let's say in the first round or two, you wouldn't expect those bottom half positions at safety and inside linebacker to go Monty Ossenfort.
Absolutely not. Maybe Edgerrin Cooper, 35, top of round 2. But no, I do expect these 3 positions, especially if they trade out at number 4 and they cash in for more picks, for Monty to go after those spots and check those boxes in round 1.
Now we got to share some love with the special teams, because special teams, special plays, special players. I know for our team, for our room, Blake Gillikin, Matt Prater, you just brought back Blake Gillikin on a 2-year deal. Aaron Brewer bringing him back as well. Our room in the Arizona Cardinals facility, they have the pieces right there. Do you expect for them to go after anybody?
In years past, I've advocated for drafting a punter, and all the analytics guys, they just pile on me and they tell, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I believe in punting, but you have Blake Gillikin. You just gave him a 2-year deal. He was top 4 last year, so I don't see a need at punter. Maybe a free agent at some point. Now, kicker with Matt Prater, he's going to turn 40 before this season starts. I don't expect 1-year 11 draft picks to be used there either, but they might bring a free agent in for some competition.
Going into his 18th season. Paul, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's been out of the 18 to 34 demo for a long time.
Yes, he has. Now we're going to put you right here on the clock. We asked our AZ Cardinals followers on social media, send in some questions. And I know you handed the initial envelope and you said send it in through the mail. We're not doing like that. But we do got a little bit of an old school watch over here. So, Paul, okay. I'm going to time you. I'm putting you 15 seconds on the clock. It's like you're in the draft room. You ready to go?
Here we go.
All right. So, at your boy Drell, _Drell, he asked, is there a defensive player worth taking 4th overall? 15 seconds.
No. That's why you trade down to number 6 with the Giants and you go after corner, you go after edge rusher. At number 4, no. You wish there was a guy at Dynamite. Myles Garrett sitting there at number 4. That's what the Cardinals would love to go for, but does not exist this year.
Not bad. You got to bring the for sale sign over for the next time that we talk about that. Now let's go over to the next one. And I love the phrasing here. He put, it was at ANHTOP11. He asked, what defensive position do you expect Bossenfort to take in the first 2 draft rounds?
So we're going from Monty Hall, H-A-U-L, to Bossenfort. Okay, defensive positions in the first 2 rounds. I think I just listed them over here. Corner, edge, defensive line. And guess what? I think those are your 3 big priorities, and receiver slots in behind those 3 defensive positions, believe it or not.
All right, and the last one. It's going to be the kicker, because we got to talk about the kicker, of course.
Bring it. This isn't my first primer, Zach.
It's my first, so we're jumping right into it here. And we're going to be wrapping it up with this question here. At Polar Powder Fox. What a username.
Okay.
Do you see any talented kickers in the draft as a long-term replacement for the automatic one, Matt Prater?
Don't put it past Jeff Rodgers. He always has his eye on what's coming out in the draft, the Cardinals special teams coordinator. Now, am I ready to name a kicker in this draft? No, not yet. And I don't think he's going to come with a draft pick, but Jeff Rodgers will sign someone and bring them in.
See, he didn't even need the stopwatch right there. And that's just because it isn't his first primer. And we're going to wrap up this defensive special teams draft primer. Paul, it's an exciting time to be Monty Ossenfort. It's an exciting time to be an Arizona Cardinals fan. And it all comes together April 25th for the draft. That's all the time we have. We'll see you next time on AZ Cardinals.